Welcome back to the podcast, guys. We're on number 8. I have
We
a
are on
empty.
number 9.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're on number 9.
We are
Yeah, we're
number
cruising
9.
along. I got a
Yes, sir.
plate of empty brownies and some iced tea, guys, and we're ready to talk.
He's high as a kite.
Yeah. What do you got going over there in Central PA?
Oh my gosh, we got snow and slush today, and tomorrow's supposed
Well,
to be 62.
tomorrow's supposed to be 70 some degrees here tomorrow.
PA weather's whack.
Yeah. And then when I head to Virginia, um, it's for a client, it's supposed to be almost 80.
Nice.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it is.
I might have
It
to
is.
sit on the beach and tan my head up.
Oh boy. How about that?
Yeah, sit on the beach, tan my bald head up.
Oh my.
So today, it's always an interesting topic because there's always a debate on it, whether people want to use it or not. But that's food plots created without chemicals.
Yeah.
Um, I believe creating food plots with chemicals and without chemicals both can be done. It's really a personal preference. Um, Personally, I mean, I don't like using them. I just don't want to mess with them. You always that you're breathing the chemicals in. You're getting some on your skin sometimes, and it's just I don't want to mess with them. Not only that, they're expensive. So we're going to
Yeah.
talk about a little bit of strategies and stuff to so people can kind of get away from that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Your preference is to not have to use them at all if you can get away with it. But if you can't, if you're in a real bad situation, you're going to have to spray.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure, for sure. Yeah, and I don't like the wind drift and that. And
Hmm.
look what happened to you last year. Your farmer came and sprayed, and he got some of
Egyptian
your
wheat
Egyptian wheat and killed it.
killed
It
me.
happens. It
It
happens.
does. Yeah. Yeah, so I think you were part of it too, but we have several videos on the channel about herbicide-free food plots, and I want to start out by saying let's give the people an example of, say you have a brand new spot, you had never been a food plot, you're leading into the springtime, things are starting to green up. What do you do if you're not going to use chemicals?
If I was not to use chemicals, I would mow as low as I could get,
Hmm.
and then I use cultivators, and I tear down pretty deep and turn that soil all over because I don't use moldboard plows or anything like that. That's what I do. I hit it with the cultivators, turn it over, and I let it sit for about a week, and then I just repeat that process like because I work. So like Saturday, usually from Saturday, I let it sit, and the next Saturday I'll roll it all over again. I roll it a couple of times with the cultivators, and then I'll come back and disc,
Hmm.
and the sun will bake the weeds that have been uprooted and kill them.
Hmm.
Of course, then you have all the other people that are going to say that they're no-till and that I've killed all the biome and all the critters in the soil by doing that.
You kill earthworms. Shame on
Yeah,
you.
I do. I do.
Now, when you do that, what would you be planting?
Are we? What are we? What are you talking? Spring or summer?
Spring. You just disc the plot, and what are you going to plant?
I don't do much spring and summer stuff anymore, but spring and summer is a good time to get your clovers established, your buckwheats established, your oats established, that type of thing. Something that you would probably want to plow down for your fall
Right.
plantings.
Yeah.
Yep, I plan ahead. Whatever I put in the spring is usually something to plow down for the fall,
Right.
and use it for the green manure factor.
Hmm. Yeah. So if I'm going into a new area, what I'm going to do is probably mow it down very low, and I'm going to disc that area maybe the weekend or something before I plan on planting. I'll disc it once. I'll let it sit. You are going to get some regrowth, and
Sure.
then I'll come back in the following weekend or whatever it is a week later, and I'll disc it one more time. Try to time it with rain and something in that situation. I like to plant something that's going to germinate very quickly, which is buckwheat,
For sure.
because
It's got-
buckwheat's going to come up within a couple days. It's going to be whatever it is, couple inches.
Got to be quicker than the weeds.
Yes. Yep. And buckwheat will do that. And
Yeah.
then that's a way to do that. And then you are still going to get some weeds, but the buckwheat is going to outgrow those weeds, and eventually it should take over as long as you're getting rain, and it's going to shade out the undergrowth of that. And then with that situation, you're leading into the spring and summer, so you are going to get some weed growth, but the buckwheat is primarily there to, like you said, green manure to turn back into the soil to kind of prep yourself leading into the fall. And depending on what state you're in, what part of the country you're in, you can plant that buckwheat, wait 5 weeks or something, disc it back under, and have a second planting of buckwheat before going into your fall planting.
I have never really got a good second planting of buckwheat in my region, though,
Hmm.
because where I'm at in central PA here, that the soil temperature, buckwheats and your screening Egyptian wheats and things like that, they like that heat. Um, and my soil temperature, things are germinating, out there at 50 degrees or so. Man, I get in weather like I am today. It's snowing today and going to be beautiful tomorrow. I never know when that next frost is coming. So,
Yeah, you live in a
you know,
weird
it's
part of the
it,
area.
it is it's weird, man. I mean, I've actually been turkey hunting in the snow before in the
Hmm.
spring.
Yep.
It's just you never know when you're going to get it,
Well, look what happened to us when we had the skid steer at the farm. It
right?
was it was maybe May 20th, May 22nd or something, and we got caught in a snowstorm.
Yeah. Yeah, the weather's crazy here. I mean,
Yeah, that
I'm
wasn't too far from you.
in like a snow belt right here and coming off of Lake Erie, it blows over and I get nailed,
Yeah.
And so I'm very cautious of when I want to plant or even everybody's talking about frost seeding right now. I wait till the end of March,
Hmm.
because it's a safe bet.
Yeah.
I go putting it in now, it's going to be wet. The seed's going to be soggy for months,
Hmm.
and we got a lot of cold weather yet, so I'm not so worried about that.
Yeah, I'm heading up to the farm, I think May 12th, because I don't have any weekends or nothing free right now. But I go May 12th, I'm gonna frost seed. So I'm waiting until then. I could make a trip there, but a lot of guys are jumping on that because it's warm right now. We're getting these warm
Yeah.
temperatures, but it's just there's no need. It's too early right now.
You're saying May, all the way out in May, March, April, May?
March.
Okay, March 12th.
March 12th.
Got you. You said May. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So it'd be March 12th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got you.
So I'm gonna be frost seeding then. But back onto the herbicide-free food plots is I'm gonna try to do the second planting. If not, I would time it to where I have that one planting leading into the fall, and then all I'm going to do is disc that buckwheat back in, and I want to plant things such as brassicas, or really the ultimate thing to do, depending your situation, would be a cereal grain such as winter wheat. The plant in there, you can even do some clovers. That way, it's going to outgrow the weeds in the fall. Most time, the weeds are going dormant that time anyway, so you're not going to get much weed growth in the fall planting. That's going to go all winter long, and then that wheat is going to be the very first thing that greens up in the spring, way before your weeds. So you're going to have that cereal grain growing before your weeds, and then when spring green up actually hits, you're not going to have many weeds in your plot.
Right.
So herbicide, they're not 100% needed. I think they're overused a lot of times, and the people that get on people about disc in the ground. Well, what are the chemicals doing to the ground?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. There's theories and this and this and this, but give and take on everything. you know they're needed sometimes, and then sometimes you don't need them.
Well, the discing thing and killing worms and everything. How many how many do you miss when you disc? You're going through like that. How many are you missing in between the discs?
Yeah.
Yeah, they,
Yep.
they claim you're killing them all. You're not killing them
Well,
all.
I
Now,
always
and I
got worms in my plots, and I disc.
Oh my gosh, I went out and pulled some plants last year. Just reached down and grabbed a purple top or something and pulled up on it, and the roots are hanging off of it, and just
Full
worms
worms.
all. Yeah, it's just full of worms crusted all around it.
Yep.
I am not worried about killing worms. You
No.
know,
Yeah.
I'm really
There's
not.
there's plenty of them there. I mean, you're talking a quarter, half acre, 1 acre, two, whatever it is. You're not going to kill all the worms.
No, no, and actually, just to change a gear here, for first time guy, like when I took the piece across the road and turned it from a horse pasture into a plot, a first time piece of property or virgin property or something, you may have to spray that the very first time to get control of it.
Hmm.
Um, but still would recommend probably, of course, mowing as short as you can and ripping it up and letting it sit for a little while and allow that regen to start coming back and then spray it.
Hmm.
In case anybody's a first timer needed to know that
Yeah.
it is beneficial to spray on a virgin piece. But after that, you should be able to control it. If not, okay, a little herbicide here and there won't break the bank, but
Yeah.
it can be done without using
Oh,
the
it,
cancer causing caustic chemicals.
yeah, it can definitely be done. I've done it many times. I always say too, if you're planting annuals, you can get away with not using chemical. If you're planting perennials, then there's times where you have to use chemicals, and there's a balance on both sides too. Some
And
plots you
and the reason Dave is saying that is because perennials grow so slowly and annuals will grow much quicker.
yeah, definitely, yep. And then again, there's a balance on both sides. Some guys, some areas, some soil just has different seeds, dormant seeds in there that could really screw you up. So
Hmm.
there's times where you have to use chemicals, like down in your plot at your house down the bottom. You have a problem with what?
That's chickweed down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, you have.
Chickweed, and it will take over if you don't do something about it.
Hmm.
So I do hit that annually once to control that.
Hmm.
And over over at the destination plots though, it's not so bad. I get a smart weed. It's the one with the little pink
Hmm.
balls on it.
Yep, this kind of
That
stays low to the ground.
Yeah, yep. That one
So you're telling me smartweeds outsmarting you?
no, if you let it go, the birds will take care of those little seeds.
Yeah,
But the chickweed, you can't control that. It has thousands and thousands
yeah.
per plant.
You have to get it
And
before it seeds.
yeah, and if you walk through it after it goes to seed, they literally are just jumping off the plant. Looks like fleas,
Hmm.
flying or something.
Yep.
They're the tiny little mustard seed looking things that
Hmm.
are all over your socks or something,
Yeah.
when you walk through them. But they literally jump all over the place. But yeah, I mean, I know we're talking about herbicide free, but man, there's sometimes you just need it.
Yeah, there's definitely sometimes. If people focus on planting the right things, they can get away with not using it. If you don't want to use herbicides, focus on cereal grains and annuals. And if you have to get into the perennial side where you're growing, such as things like chicory or clovers, alfalfa, sometimes you have to get into that chemical use. And a great product that we've been using is IMOX.
Yeah,
IMOX will control all them weeds in that clover plot.
yeah, I'm really liking the IMOX.
Yeah, definitely. If anybody's considering IMOX for your clover plot, it's 7 to 8 ounces per acre, mixed in roughly 20, 25 gallons of water, and hit those weeds early, and then wait a couple weeks and mow it, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, and it's not gonna kill or injure your clovers or alfalfas, and
No,
I think if your chicory's established enough, it shouldn't touch the chicory.
nah, it
So
ain't gonna mess with it.
you're looking pretty good in the springtime, spring and summertime if you're using that. As
Hmm.
long as you don't have a blend in there or something silly, it'll probably kill your buckwheat.
Oh yeah, easy. Yeah, kill
Yeah,
your buckwheat,
it'll burn.
kill your wheat and rye and all that stuff too.
Yeah,
So,
it would burn that stuff out. So you don't want to have that big of a blend going. But if you're talking clover, alfalfa, chicory, you're
hmm,
safe.
oh, you're safe. Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing this year. I mean, I've established stuff last year, and this year I'm going to frost seed, and then the first couple weeks I start to see any weed, if any, which I think I probably will. I'll probably hit it with the IMOX, you know. But I don't know. I don't know if the IMOX is proven safer than Glide. That's a whole nother thing to talk about later on another podcast maybe. But
Yeah.
the potency of something like that, getting on your skin, health risks and whatnot.
Well, if you watch TV and listen to all that stuff, they'll tell you that it's not, or the government it tells you it's safe, but I
Yeah,
just I why risk something else? Everything freaking
right.
causes cancer, so why risk getting it on your skin when
Oh,
you
definitely,
you know what I
definitely,
mean?
definitely wear long sleeves and safety
Right, or
glasses and gloves and
yeah, breathing it in or whatever.
yeah,
Why add to it? You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I wear dust masks and everything when I do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But like you said, the wife checks up on stuff. She calls companies and asks them if they've used Glide or any chemicals on their foods and things. She researches back into that because my boy's condition with Crohn's disease,
Mhm.
and a lot of these companies they will tell you straight up, yeah, there's been some chemicals used here, and
Yeah.
but they'll say, oh, but the FDA approves it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they may approve it because somebody's laundering that money, but
Right. Yeah.
they
I mean
tell
it.
you they tell you it's
Yeah.
safe in the consumptions that you're doing. But
Glides in everything. I mean, it's hard to get uh away from it. But again, if you're physically using it, why be why be lazy with it? Like cover up. You know what I mean? Protect
right,
yourself a little bit with
right,
using it. Um, that's just my opinion.
yep, for sure, for
So
sure,
I think you wanted to jump in and talk a little
yeah,
bit about fertilizer and
yeah, good time.
how yeah, and how your pH directly reflects that.
Yeah, I've been watching, and everybody knows that watches my channel. I get a lot of content for things by reading these forums on Facebook, and right now there's a lot of people talking about lime, liquid lime. Um, I need to get a soil test. How do I do it? This, that, and the other. But essentially what I saw repetitiously was people talking about their pH after they did get a soil sample was like in the high fours, low
Ooh,
fives, you
ooh.
know, and how much lime do I put on now? Can I do split applications and things? And of course, yes, you can do that. But what I wanted to get into was if you do not amend according to those sample recommendations, when your pH is so low like that, and you at the cost of things right now, you're going to be really throwing away money on your fertilization because when your pH is that low and you add fertilizer, studies have been done like if your pH is at like a 5.5 or lower, they say that 50% of the fertilizer that you add to your ground is unusable. So if you're spending 500 bucks on bags of fertilizer, 250 of it is wasted. It's just not available to the plant because your pH is so low and it will not allow that stuff is bound in the dirt and it doesn't allow it to be uptaked into the plant. So,
I would add to that real quick too, is not only is 50% unusable because the soil's acidic. If you have a low CEC number in your soil, that fertilizer just runs right through it as well. So not only are the soil can't use 50% of it, you're losing a portion of it because you have poor soil because the CEC is low.
It can't be used.
Yep,
Yep, and you have problems with it leaching away if you don't have organic matter holding it.
correct.
So, yeah, you're talking a lot of waste, and, as your pH number climbs, the amount of fertilizer being able to be processed through the plant climbs also.
Hmm.
So, when you get to, like, they say optimum is around a 6.5. With a 6.5, you're still at like 90% on your fertilizer, meaning 10% is unusable.
Hmm.
So even though you're proud and have a 6.5 pH, you're still losing some money on fertilizer.
Yeah.
So the highest you can get it, is the best optimal situation. Is what we're trying to do here is save you money and tell you guys and educate. You know, it's not that we're trying to throw no knowledge out at you. It's just that you know this is important stuff to know with the cost of things nowadays. If we can help you and save you some money, I mean, this knowledge is power here.
Well, not only are
And
you going to save money, you're going to have a better crop. Why
well,
why
sure,
why plant something in acidic soil?
yeah.
Like
I mean,
people skip that step, and in that situation, you're better off just not even adding fertilizer. Just spend your money on lime.
just lime it. Yep, just get your pH up where it needs to
Hmm.
be. And that was another thing I seen on there this weekend too. Was
What'd you say?
I seen the people that admittedly want to skip their soil sample, but wanted to know what would a generic amount per acre be
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
add fertilization to.
Right.
How many pounds of lime and how much fertilizer should I use? And everybody was on there like screaming, and cap locks were on, get the soil sample. Now, the soil sample costs you less than $20 and a bag of fertilizer is like 25 right now. Why would you skip it?
Hmm.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. It's always been that way. Um, I, I, I hammer on it in videos. You hammer on it in videos, and um, I'll still get that message over the summer. Hey, Dave, I planted a food plot. It didn't. Something happened with it. It turned purple. It didn't grow right. What's going on? And my first response is, "What's your pH? What's your soil sample say?" And they'll
Yeah.
say, "Oh, well, I didn't get one." And I'll say, "Well, I can't help you.
Yeah, it's hard to help somebody when they don't know.
It's all a guess.
Yes.
It's all a guess without it."
Yep. And I tried that. Early on when I started plotting and stuff, I tried to do that guessing game, and it doesn't work out very good for you.
Hmm.
It just does not. I mean,
Yeah, it's
every you
tough.
could get lucky, but
Well, I mean, last year, I think when I bought fertilizer, I bought some triple 19. It was like $39 a bag.
man,
$39. And on average, you're going to be adding anywhere from 2 to 400 pounds of fertilizer per acre.
yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you get a soil sample, I always make a joke about it. If you get a soil sample, it's either going to cause you to spend more money because you need fertilizer, or it's going to end up saving you money because you might not need any.
Yeah.
Instead of just going out and saying, "Hey, what's on like in general what I throw on my soil?" And somebody, and if you read the back of a bag, those they're just general terms.
They
It'll
tell you
say,
like 300 pounds
yeah,
per
and
acre.
you may not need 300
What if you
pounds.
don't yeah, what if you don't need 300 pounds? Now you've added all that fertilizer in that you didn't need, and it's full of salt and fillers, which is essentially lowering your pH.
Correct.
So if you're throwing, and that's another thing we could talk about too. I mean, if you're putting that much fertilizer on, if you have that big a recommendation, don't forget that all those fillers lower your pH. So you should be adding a couple bags of pelletized lime with your fertilization program
Yeah,
upon upon putting all that in your dirt
to offset it.
to
Yeah,
offset it.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
synthetic fertilizer will lower the pH. I have noticed in triple 10, triple 13, there is lime in those bags.
Sometimes depending on who you buy it from. Yep.
Yep. but I have never seen it in triple 19.
Hmm.
I've never seen lime in triple 19.
Yeah.
So there's triple 10, triple 13s. Does have some lime mixed in it because like there's salts in there and it lowers the pH.
Plus, it's better filler than salt,
Yeah.
and they know that you need to offset it anyhow.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I guess someone was smart and incorporated that in.
Yeah.
It's probably cheaper to mix a bag with lime in it than to mix it with salt anyhow.
Probably.
Did you ever price back in the day when you was putting stuff out in your soil for minerals and things, and you bought the dicalcium phosphate and the rock salt and all that. You mix that all together and threw it in the dirt for the deer to eat.
Hmm.
Those bags of salt were probably there. Well, I know they were more than a bag of lime.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper for them to actually mix with lime
Definitely.
for
Yeah.
for a filler if you think
Hmm.
about it on their side.
Right. Let's take a dive real quick into liquid lime.
Mm.
Um, there's a lot of companies that sell it, and personally, I don't recommend it. I think it could be used in conjunction with pelletized lime or ag lime or something, but to solely rely on liquid lime, I think is a waste of time and money.
I I don't have any experience with it,
Hmm.
and the more I read about it, um, I'm finding that it doesn't even have some of them don't even have calcium carbonate in it,
Hmm.
and calcium carbonate is what you need to raise your pH.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you would want to spray
Well,
something like that out there if it didn't have the carbonate in it.
it's a quick fix. It's a band-aid
It's
is
a
what it is.
very temporary fix,
Yeah.
as from what I understand.
Um, I've seen guys where they have tested before and after, and it did change the pH, but it only lasted for about 2 weeks.
Uh huh.
And in that time frame, I guess it allows your plants to get started. But then I've seen it where I had some guys using it, and then they had good plots starting out, and then as time went on, those plots faded out. It's because the liquid lime wore off, the pH goes back to acidic, and
Right.
then it can't transfer the nutrients to the plants, and then your plants die.
Yeah. So what do? You spray this stuff out, get a start, and
Hmm.
then what are they going to do? Go back and top dress with bags of lime?
Right.
I mean, if even if they do, it takes 2, 3, 4 months for that to sink in to
Hmm.
be usable.
Yeah.
To make a difference. So they're not helping themselves really. It sounds like a big waste.
It
I
is.
mean,
It's some of them are expensive, but it's just a band-aid. I think if you used it with lime, so if you put your pelletized lime out, you maybe rolled that in or you work that into the dirt a little bit, you spread your liquid lime and then you seed. I think that is okay because you're going to get the instant uh, pH change to allow the plants to germinate, while your pelletized lime and everything is going to provide you with long-term benefits.
mm,
Because I'll see guys that are using liquid lime and say, "Hey, I'm putting out liquid lime. I'm fixing the soil and I'm feeding the deer the highest nutrients level." No, dude, you're lying to yourself because the pH is going to go right back to where it was before you sprayed the liquid lime,
right.
and then your plants aren't going to deliver the maximum nutrients to the animals because your pH is freaking acidic.
Yeah.
It's just marketing, it's just a gimmick.
Now, if there's one out there that actually is calcium carbonate, that would be cool to know. I mean, if you could find one that actually is the real deal,
I
that would
think
that would
the
be handy to have.
I've seen some on the ag side of liquid
Right.
lime. They're
Yeah.
probably your top ones. They're
I've seen
expensive.
some of that, but you gotta buy it in like a 5-gallon bucket or a
Right.
55-gallon drum, and it
Yeah.
is costly.
It is. The deer side, the food plot marketing side of
That's I
it's a
I
joke.
don't know of a legit one. Maybe somebody out there does, but I don't know a legit one on
Yeah.
the deer side.
Yeah, people will say like deer grow or plot start and boost and all this other stuff. Come on, man. Like it's just it's I don't want to say bad stuff, but you're gonna get
Uh,
me in trouble.
well, instead of getting in trouble, let's talk about the people that want to plant trees for plots instead of
Mm,
planting like food plots. People are interested in like chestnuts now or oaks,
yeah.
all these different oaks and things, and they're starting them out
Hmm.
now. um as far as soft mast or acorns and nuts go,
Hmm.
I think you and I agree that
I don't
those those things are nice to have,
know.
but when the fruit drops and the animals clean them up, what do you got left?
You're left with none.
Left with nothing.
You want my opinion?
Go for it. You're up.
All right. All right. So I think fruit trees is a powerful attractant to deer. I killed my biggest buck of my life that passed an apple tree just to go to a pear tree or a persimmon tree.
Mm,
So I think adding those in can be beneficial as long as you're not solely relying on those. You
mhm,
need food plots. Food plots provide the wildlife with more days, weeks, months of food compared to fruit trees. Now, people make the argument, oh, well, I can get different varieties of apples to where some drop in September, some drop in October, some drop in November. But still, when they're gone, they're gone. Not only that, when they're dropping, you have raccoons eating them, birds eating, so you're losing some of the food. But I think in conjunction with a actual food plot program, they can be beneficial, but then people are putting them in lazy. They're not staking them, they're not tubing them, they're not fencing them off. The deer rake them. I've seen a lot of failures with them because of that reason. Um, so I think there can be a balance. They can, but what you're talking about is I seen the guys where they don't want to plant food plots for whatever reason, and they're just solely relying on fruit. And the fruit drops, the deer eat it, it's gone, and then they lose all their deer.
yeah. So I think that guys where their season comes in early in archery, like in September, where I don't have that ability because everything comes in here early October,
Hmm.
a majority of those fruits have dropped or matured. Um, they're either rotting on the tree or they've dropped and critters are cleaning them up as soon as they drop. And they're again, like we said, they're gone. Um, nuts, some of them seem to hang on, partway through October or whatever, but the squirrels are carrying them away, hiding them. Uh, when they're gone, they're
Hide,
gone. Like we're
hiding
saying,
them.
yeah. I mean, but I could see it being beneficial to the guys with an early season.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
now in my region, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like you did bring up a good point though. Um, I just saw somewhere where a guy talked about a crab apple tree that hung on
Hmm.
until like December or something like that. Maybe that would be beneficial, but for the guys that are talking about nuts, planting oak trees or whatever, do you know how long it takes for an oak tree to produce a nut? I mean, come
Hmm.
on. They grow as much underground as they do above ground. For every foot above ground, they have that much below ground that had to grow first. I've
Yeah.
got a tree out here in the yard when I built this house. Uh, it was like 2 foot tall. I've been here 20 years and the thing's still only like 15 feet tall. Not a nut yet.
Yeah. Nah,
After 20
it's
years.
yeah. It's I guess you can plant them for the next generation
Well,
for
yeah,
your
if you're
for your
sure
property and all that, but for
you could.
most hunters want instant gratification, and
Exactly.
planting a fruit and nut tree is not instant gratification.
That was my whole point behind this discussion. Now, There is some out there. We were like you and I were discussing earlier, like some of those Dunstan chestnuts or whatever they say they can drop in 3 to 5 years or whatever,
Hmm.
you know. And but there again, late September, early October, gone.
Yeah, they're a good addition to a food plot and
Yes.
habitat program.
Yeah, I
But
mean, there's a whole
yeah,
plethora of things you could do to help
yeah,
yourself between browse plots, trees,
hmm,
mast. I mean, that's what you want. You want a whole habitat.
yeah, but not to solely rely on just one thing. And you
Shouldn't.
have a long-term benefit, such as trees and things, and then you have that instant gratification for as far as food plot goes. And if I had to pick one or the other, I'm going to pick food plots.
I would pick a plot. Yeah, for sure.
You know.
For sure. Because that's not only that, but it's operator errors a little easier with it too, I would say.
Well, yeah, and then the fruit trees, they got to be pruned. Are you going to prune them to actually get the maximum benefit? Are you going to stake them? Are you going to tube them? Are you going to fence them off?
How
You
about
know what?
last year when it froze off everything? We didn't get any acorns.
Right.
Then
So,
you got a whole area of trees with nothing on it for the deer.
right.
Where's that guy gonna hunt?
Yeah.
He's gonna have to learn how to hunt,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
not be hunting over a tree. And side note, and we're done after this. Let me just wrap it up with this.
Oh, we're done. Oh,
Yeah, we're done. Let me wrap it up with this quick story.
you're making a wrap.
I'm wrapping it.
All right.
So
Wrap it to the audience.
so we had a buck pool every year when I was in apprenticeship school for the union that I was in. And this one guy, he won every year, except last year I ended up winning. But anyhow, he ended up admitting to me how he won. He had a apple tree in mom and dad's backyard and put a tree stand in the apple tree. And he was shooting the deer as they was coming in for the apples.
Hmm.
That's how he won his buck pool.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: uh, if you want to shoot monster bucks, plant persimmon trees. Deer love persimmons.
I have never. I don't even know what they look like.
They're they're about that big, right? And they kind of got like an orangish tint to them. They're soft. When you eat them, if you don't eat them when they're perfectly ripe, it leaves your tongue feeling like sandpaper.
Oh,
Now, next to my parents' house, there's a property there. It's all county owned now. The landowner, Mr. Bickle, where I shot this buck at, he passed away, but he had one persimmon tree, and
hmm.
he lived to like 104 years old, and he was always at that persimmon tree picking persimmons and eating them. And I was a young kid, 6, 7 years old, and he'd feed them to me, and it would give me like a sandpaper feel. But those deer would walk past perfectly ripe apples to
Yeah.
go right to that persimmon tree.
Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of those. I don't have any around.
Yeah.
I do have an apple tree and a pear tree, and like you said, they will step over apples to get to the pears.
Yeah.
For
So,
sure. For
yeah.
sure.
Well, we're in park, guys. Oh, real quick, I wanted to say that somebody left a comment on the Apple Spotify or Apple iTunes app
Oh.
and said he loves the podcast. And the funniest part is when we crack jokes.
That's funny.
He said
That-
he's like, when you and Chris get on each other or crack like little smart jokes is the best part of the podcast.
I don't know why, but everybody loves that.
Yeah, it's funny.
I guess.
All right. We're in part, guys. Thanks for listening and appreciate the support. Video on Chris's channel. And man, well, I guess we'll see you guys on number 10.
Yeah, start subscribing and get over and watch and get over and listen.
Yeah.
See you guys.